Okay, we're ready.
Okay, welcome to the May 18th meeting of the Sag Harbor Zoning Board of Appeals. If everybody would stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Thank you. Could I get a motion to open the meeting?
So move.
I second.
Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the April 20th meeting?
So move.
I second.
Second.
Who second?
I did.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, the first item is we have a letter from 12 Green Street.
And Brian Lacazio is here. From Adam Miller, if we need him to talk on it. Hi,
I'm
Brian.
here. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. Brian LaCascio with the Adam Miller Group, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7 in Bridgehampton, attorney for the applicant. As stated in my letter, we are here to amend your prior decision because as we went before the Harbor Committee, we were required to reduce the footprint of the house. There's no additional requests or any change in the relief granted, but there was a reduction in the footprint of the house. So we wanted to have the same survey consistent for all three decisions, which has now been approved by the Harbor Committee and the ARB. So this survey from SASC is dated April 8th, 2021 is the correct revised survey that we're asking you to amend your decision to reflect.
Okay, is there anyone from the board that has any questions? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to 12 Green Street? Okay, then it seems pretty straightforward. Can I get a motion then to approve the amendment and the new survey for 12 Green Street?
Second, the motion.
Second.
Okay,
So-
Ham and Scott. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There are no opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.
Have a great night.
You
You
too.
too. Just as a general statement to the public, we have no new applications for tonight, and most of the carryovers from previous meetings are being adjourned. So I'm going to read through the older applications that are being adjourned and then ask for one motion that we adjourn them all. So these are all being adjourned. 31 Long Island Avenue, 60 Hempstead Street, 24 Rysam Street, 110 Division Street, 41 Main Street, 34 High Street, 63 Main Street, and 7 Cadmus Road. So could I get a motion that all those applications be adjourned until our next meeting?
What about the one on Henry?
That's going to be a decision. It should be switched over into decisions.
Okay, great.
Could I get a motion to?
Yep.
Okay,
Jim,
so
can you hear me?
could I get a second?
Second.
All in
So,
favor?
so Susan and Ham, and then Alex is asking a question.
Alex?
Yeah, Tim, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm just curious, do we have any updates on 24 Rysam? Because
No.
I've actually seen activity there in recent weeks, and I'm just wondering if there was some kind of partial permission made for them to shore things
think
up
you
or
should-
something.
I think you should acquire in the building department. There's nothing before our board.
Alex, you
Okay.
can call it. You can call and speak to Jim, the building inspector, regarding that.
Okay. Thank you.
If
You're
you want to contact me offline, I can give you a little background, I think. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so moving on to the one that we are going to discuss. It is 11 Washington Avenue. Could I get a motion to open 11 Washington Avenue?
So move.
Second.
Second, Scott Baker. Is anyone here to speak for 11 Washington Avenue?
Yes, Laura Tuman is here.
Good evening, everyone. And I do have the homeowner, Scott, who is also on the call today as well. So he is available to testify. I don't know if you need to go ahead and swear him in or.
If you would like to speak, we'll swear him in, yes.
Let's do that now. Just,
Okay, can you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Sure, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Laura, do you want to proceed?
Sure. So I know this is the first official hearing since we had to go ahead and re-advertise since the last meeting. But we did have some good discussion at the last meeting, and I think we did what the board had asked us to do. The board was concerned about the size and location of the proposed patio, which again, just like to remind the board is a currently existing, I'm not going to call it a structure because it's not a structure, but there is a patio there made of gravel, 10 by 24, and the homeowner is requesting a variance in order to keep it at that size and that location, but basically changing material only to a bluestone patio. So that is, again, just wanted to summarize why we are here today to again ask for side yard and total lot coverage variance request. So at the last meeting, the board did ask the homeowner, and we did look at the property. It was suggested to look at placing the new bluestone patio between the home and the pool to see if we could fit the patio in there. I do have pictures if I can do a screen share, if I'm allowed to do.
Yeah, keep in mind that we've all visited the site.
Okay, sure, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's do.
You can go ahead now.
Okay, great. Let's see if I can pull these up. Let me know if it's coming up. I hope it is.
If you pull it up and then say share screen or new share, it will come up.
Let me try that again.
There you go.
Okay.
And now pull up the item and then it may, I think we have it. We have a white screen.
Oh, shoot. There you go. Can you see that?
No, hit new share on the bottom.
So weird.
And we see your cursor.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to go back out and come back in.
I don't know why I can't. Okay. I don't know what is, I'm trying it again. I apologize. I had this problem earlier today.
Laura, did you email it to me by chance? Because I can pull it up. Oh, there you
Got
go.
it?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so this, we tried to take a couple photos to show you. So this is the space between, this is the house and this is the pool. You can see there is a bit of a slope to the property there. There's about 13 and a half feet between these two structures. If we were to build the patio in this location, it would have to be flush with the pool, which would kind of necessitate about a 3-foot, you'd have to level the property off 3 feet and have the door open into kind of like it would have to almost look like a window well, you know, like some sort of proper egress to get out steps up to the patio. So it's almost impossible to put the patio in this location given the slope of the property. So I did just want to let the board know that we did get out there with a measuring stick. We took some photos. We really kind of looked to see if we could put it in that location. But unfortunately, I don't think that is a possibility in this instance. So, okay, that's that photo. So I'm done sharing now. We'll just stop share. So that kind of gets us back to where we were with the initial request, which is keeping it where it is at the same size. I know that there was some question over the setback, if it was a 10-foot setback or a 15-foot setback. haven't heard back. Liz, I don't know if you have anything to contribute to that. We still believe that it is a 10-foot setback.
The patio.
What, Liz, just so you remember, we were comparing that one to item number 2, which is 60 Hempstead, which is the same condition where it says it's a 15-foot setback required. This one says it's a 10-foot setback required, and they're both sort of the same condition.
I know I had a conversation with Carrie who suggested it was a 10-foot as well.
I did speak with Jim regarding it. It is on the table of regular,
It's on the dimensional.
dimensional regulations, and it is 10. 15 from the side would be a pool. And from
Right.
the-
So it was sometimes, historically, the terrace next to the pool was considered part of the pool. And that was sort of the question for him, whether or not they were still considering adjacent terraces part of the pool structure, or whether they're considered a separate entity, in which case it would be 10.
Yeah, I spoke to him about that at 35 Carver, and he was saying he considered them separate because he wanted separate setbacks shown to the patio and to the pool separately.
So the patios
Consistently
are now
against
considered
it.
accessory, and a
Yeah.
pool is a pool. Okay, well, that's clear.
Yeah.
Okay, great, perfect. So that
Okay.
clarifies that.
Yeah.
So we do go back to the board with your feelings. You know, we did look at an alternative as you recommended. If you know, and now that we have clarification on the setback with it being 10, how comfortable the board is with the current proposed location, the original proposed location and size.
Well, first, we're gonna see if there are any questions from the board, and then we'll turn to the public. And then if you have no other comments, we would close the hearing and have a discussion about what our vote will be. Okay? So are there any questions from the board? Any questions, comments?
The only thing that I would say is that you probably could still do the terrace at the end. You would probably have to keep it away from the house by a certain degree, so you could come out of the house and then step up to it. You'd probably have to put in a retaining wall. It's not an impossibility. It's just going to be a lot more work.
I think you could also build a wooden deck, couldn't you, Scott?
Well, yes, but they still have that problem of the pool being higher than the threshold of the door. So you do have to come out at a lower level and then step up onto the deck. But you could probably work something out by keeping a zone of planting sort of between the house and the deck where you come out and land and step up to it.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Questions, rather?
I was just going to make the same comment Scott did. It seemed to me from that picture that you could put some kind of, you could level the soil from the pool most of the way to the building, and then have some kind of, what's it called, you know, wood
retaining wall.
thing. Thank you, retaining wall, and then have some nice like bluestone steps up to the patio or whatever. So that does also seem quite feasible. I'm not quite sure I accept the applicant's dismissal of that option so readily.
Mr. Scheckman, I don't know if you were at the last meeting, but at that meeting, we described that one of our missions is always to either try to reduce or hopefully even eliminate variances by having a discussion with the applicant. So at that meeting, we had suggested that you leave the 10 by 24 gravel pad exactly as it is, because that doesn't count as lot coverage. But if you reduce the size of either a deck or a slate patio and put it between the house, if you both reduced it and put it between the house and the pool, that you could eliminate the setback problem and also greatly reduce the lot coverage problem. And so at the end of the last meeting, that was sort of our suggestion. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed in case you hadn't been listening in.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think we really took a close look at that, at whether that was a possibility. And it just really felt, while being in the space, that it wouldn't be possible to put anything that would look right in between the house and the pool. I'm not sure if the picture captured it properly,
Okay.
but
Well,
if
I think
we're
there's a
not
little
granted
disagreement
relief-
from the board on that fact,
What's that, Brad?
which is perfectly fair. But let's turn to the public and see if there's anyone that wants to speak to this. Anyone out there in the general public that would like to ask a question or comment on 11 Washington Avenue?
You want flavored water?
I don't see anybody.
No. Okay.
Sure. So can I ask, is there more concern over setback or lot coverage? I don't want to ask if it's one or the other, but is there more concern on either of them?
Well, just from where I sit, and the rest of the board can comment, I'm only one vote. I think the setback could be completely eliminated and the coverage greatly reduced if you moved it, as we had suggested. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Would the rest of the board like to offer some feedback?
Well, my concern is that this is very, very similar to 60 Hempstead Street, where we are, it's the same, almost the same lot coverage, 28.6, and it's requesting the side variance. It was the same sort of thing, and we turned them down. I don't know how we can, unless we revisit that, I don't know how we can, approve this one. So it's both the lot coverage and the setback, although now it's a 10-foot setback instead of 15. So it is a little bit different there, but it sort of forces us to go back and revisit the other one, I would think.
I mean, if we approved it.
Yes, well, it's still outstanding, but we had sort of denied that.
Yeah.
60 Hempstead.
And just the turn down letter does call it 10 feet, not 15 feet.
Right, no, but 60
Yeah.
Hempstead is 15.
Right.
So it's the same condition.
Well, that was probably a different interpretation by a different building inspector.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the board before we close the public hearing?
Sure. So
Yes.
I would go ahead. He's sorry. Was there someone else from the board?
Yes, I was going to indicate that we do have codes, and it seems to me that if there is the possibility, I did not really appreciate the indications that he had that they could not do it, but it's approximately 3.7, which is a little less than a third. And so I do have some reservation that we should make every effort to try to keep things within the code.
So I will offer this as I'd like some feedback from the board. So right now, the requested relief would be 3.7 feet. And then the total lot coverage as proposed would be 28%. Would the board consider a modification to the size of the patio instead of maybe a 10 by 24, an 8 by 24, which would cut off, 2 additional feet off the setback. So the patio would be 8.3 feet off the property line. And then the request for the variance would only be 1.7 feet. And then it would get the lot coverage down to 25.08%, which is, pretty much right there at the allowed 25%. So I would put that out there. If there's feedback from the board on that, that would greatly reduce, even though we're talking a few feet, it's still a significant reduction, I would say, in the requested relief.
I would also just add anecdotally that that compromise would reduce the cost of the project. I know that's not one of our considerations, but it's going to be more expensive to put the patio between the house and the pool.
I would give consideration of the compromise in terms of only being 1.7.
We would greatly appreciate that for what it's worth. I think if we didn't get the relief, we would not build between the house and the pool. We would leave the gravel, and our concern with the gravel has been that we have two small children who like to pick it up and throw it around the pool and so on. So your consideration of the compromise is greatly appreciated.
Susan?
I'm fine with the compromise.
Okay. Joe?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so is, and who else? Alex?
Yeah, I'm fine. I think that's a reasonable compromise. They're getting both the lot coverage and the setback variance numbers down. That's certainly appreciated.
Okay, so with the applicant's approval, I think what we should do is adjourn this to the next meeting, come back with a new survey that shows those changes. And I think you've gotten an indication from the board that you will get a favorable response to that.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so could I get a motion to adjourn 11 Washington Avenue until our next meeting?
Are you going to close the public hearing?
Yes, and could I first get a motion to close the public hearing?
Move.
So move.
So
Okay.
Susan and Ham.
Susan and Ham. And now could I get a motion to adjourn this until our next meeting?
So moved, Alex.
Second.
Alex, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So do you want to do 33 Henry as the first decision?
Yes.
I changed it in the agenda.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. So that ends our applications, and we will move on to decisions. The first one being 33 Henry Street.
This is an application to construct multiple first and second story additions to the existing single-family residence. Subject parcel is comprised of 7,105 square feet. It's 45 feet wide, located in the R20 zoning district, and is therefore non-conforming with respect to lot area and lot width. Variances are required for minimal setback relief and for pyramid relief in the amount of 613 cubic feet. Total building coverage to be 20.9%, where 20% is permitted, and total lot coverage to be 25.6%, where 25% is permitted. The board found that the benefit to the applicant in granting the variances outweighed any detriment to the community, and that the application met the 5-part test. For the foregoing reasons and those cited in the written determination, the board hereby grants the variances.
All right, could I have a motion to grant the variances just described by our attorney for 5 Green Street?
That was 33 Henry, sorry.
I'm sorry, 33 Henry.
So move 33 Henry.
Oh, second, Alex.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There are no opposed.
Thank you.
Okay, next one, 5 Green Street.
This is an application, again, to construct first and second story additions to an existing single-family residence. The property in this case was 6,128 square feet. It's non-conforming with respect to lot size, and it's only 55 feet wide in the R20 zoning district. Side yard setback relief is required along with total lot coverage, building coverage, and pyramid relief in the amount of 826 cubic feet. The applicant submitted letters in support of this application from all the neighboring property owners, and the board found that the application met the 5-part test required under New York State Village Law, Section 7-712B3. As a result, and based on the findings set forth in the written determination, the board hereby grants the variances.
All right, may I have a motion to grant those variances just described by our attorney for 5 Green Street?
So moved,
moved.
Alex.
Second.
Alex and Scott.
Alex and Scott. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There are no opposed. Next, 10 Yale Road.
This is an application to construct a 13.9 by 25.2 square foot detached garage. Requires a variance for the construction of the garage where the proposed setback between structures is 6.3 feet, where 10 feet is required. The subject property fronts on Upper Sag Harbor Cove and is comprised of 27,569 square feet. The parcel has 2 front yards and is encumbered by a 35-foot wetland buffer required by the Harbor Committee. Additionally, the placement of the septic system, which was a low nitrogen system, as far away from the wetlands as possible, prevented the garage from being located in a more conforming location. Thus, the board found that the application met the 5-part test set forth in New York State Village Law, Section 7-712B3. And based on the findings set forth in the written determination, the board hereby grants the variances.
May I have a motion to grant the variances just described by our attorney for 10 Yale Road? Susan made the motion. Second?
Second?
Scott seconded it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There are none opposed. Next and last, 48 Madison Street.
48 Madison Street. The subject parcels improved with the former Methodist Church and was granted a special permit for a philanthropic, fraternal, social, educational, institutional office or meeting room, nonprofit, by the planning board by resolution adopted on January 28, 2020, to allow for the establishment of an arts-related institution where a maximum of 4 individual artists may live as a family unit and work at the property and hold events to share their work and teach classes. The property is 20,043 square feet located in the R20 zoning district. And the applicant seeks to establish a 19 by 16 foot sculpture area in the front yard on the eastern side of the property facing Madison Street, where a sculpture would be displayed. The area consists of a 310 square feet of gravel area with a concrete mount for the sculpture. Applicant requires variances to allow an accessory structure in the front yard and to allow the proposed sculpture area to be set back 12 feet from the front property line where 35 feet is required. The proposed sculptures will be shown on a rotating basis to provide artists an ability to share their work with the community, with a maximum height of the sculpture being 20 feet to ensure continued compliance with the pyramid law. For the foregoing reasons and those set forth in the written determination, this board finds that the application meets the 5-part test set forth in New York State Village Law and hereby grants the variances.
Good. May I have a motion to grant the variances just described by our attorney for 48 Madison Street?
So
So
moved.
moved, Alex.
Okay, so let's call that Ham made the motion and Alex seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? There are no opposed. All right, if there's no further business, any members of the board want to have a long discussion about anything? No, okay. Could I get a motion to close the May 18th meeting of the Sag Harbor Zoning Board of Appeals?
I second.
Susan made the motion, Scott seconded it. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.